Good stuff.
So we got a
So,
couple more people that just came in. Kevin, Ben, somebody from Regent. So just in time to get ready to start the talk. Let me go back so I can find the bio on my phone. But first, let me introduce myself for some of y'all that don't know me. My name is Silomina Rios. I am a Marine Corps veteran, currently live just outside of Detroit, Michigan. I am part of various veterans groups myself, SVA, where I met Tad at the Leadership Fellowship this past October. I am also historian for my local Marine Corps League detachment and Women Marines Association. I also do work with IAVA, Minority Veterans of America, and the Women Veterans Network. Um, I'm also a mother of six, so that's fun. And I'm out here going to school at College for Creative Studies in Detroit, Michigan, and my focus is mostly audio and visual work, a lot of narrative work where I do documentary and stuff. But now let me introduce our speaker today. Tad Kamano is a government major with a pre-law concentration at Regent University and serves as president of the Student Veterans of America chapter. He is dedicated to advocating for student veterans, building community, and creating meaningful opportunities for those who have served. In addition to his campus leadership, Tad serves as the government liaison for Operation Allies Refuge Foundation and vice president of Vessels for Valor Foundation, where he helps lead initiatives that support veterans and their families. His work focuses on outreach, partnership development, and mission-driven impact within the veteran community. Tad is passionate about leadership, public service, and bridging the gap between military and civilian sectors. He plans to pursue a career in law or business with a focus on policy, advocacy, and veterans affairs. Did I miss anything other than you're Army veteran? Because that wasn't in here.
no, that's solid. Um, yeah, was in the Army for 11 and a half years. I was an infantryman, and that's about it.
That's it, just a little bit of things.
Yeah.
Besides those, the two organizations that are mentioned in your bio and also SVA, are you involved in any other veterans organizations?
So, I've done work with a lot of people, a lot of other nonprofits, including Folds of Honor was one of them. Um, Currently, I've kind of stepped back from those and mainly focusing on Vessels for Valor.
Okay.
That is the big thing right now. It's grassroots. It's straight out of Chesapeake, Virginia Beach in
Uh-huh.
Virginia. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. And a huge shout out to Mike. He's in here right now. He is the founder of Vessels for Valor.
Okay. Well, shout out, Mike. So I know like our theme for tonight is purpose, like finding your purpose. Can you define for me what you believe purpose is or what it could be?
So a purpose would be you can have more than one purpose, and that's what people need to remember. But a purpose would be something that drives you as the person. Um, Something that keeps you motivated, something that keeps you on top of your game at all times. Something that keeps you happy, whether you're constantly doing it sometimes, or doing it every once in a while. That is your one purpose. But you could have purposes in many other things.
So when you were in the army, think about your last couple of years. What did you feel like your purpose was during that period of time?
So my purpose at that time was one, train my guys to the best of the ability that I could, and two, keep my guys alive, give them purpose, give them community. Those are the three biggest things, maybe four, right? But the biggest things right now is making sure that they were trained for whatever we were going to head into, happy, fed,
Yeah.
educated, like all the things that you could need as a soldier. That was my job, my purpose.
So you were in a position of leadership and we met at a leadership fellowship. So my next question for you is, what does leadership mean to you? What qualities in you do you think are part of being a good leader?
So me personally, I think a good leader should be compassionate, but also tough. So remember that the people that you're leading are still regular people. They still go home. They have to deal with things outside of whatever you're leading them in. And to also be tough. Like granted, to be especially in the army, especially in my job in the army, being tough is a very, very big necessity. Because you're going against so many other things that are hitting you, whether it comes down to nature, when it comes down to the scheduling, when it comes down to your family. Being tough will get you through those things, but having compassion as a leader will help people understand that you're still there, you still understand that they're a person.
So knowing where that line is at is very important. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you actually have not been out of the army very long. It's been less than a year, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been less than a year. So tell me about your transition process and what that felt like and how leaving the military for you wasn't just a job change, but like a change of lifestyle.
Yeah, so for me, I thought I was going to be in the army for 20 years. Um, Obviously that all changed within 6 months of seeing a doctor. And then I realized, okay, I need to find another purpose. I need to start building these blocks of my foundation of my next purpose. And when that came down to it, I was already in school. So getting out of the military, I was very blessed and lucky to be able to go to school while I was getting out. And that was the biggest thing for me was if I'm going to find a purpose, I'm going to jump headfirst into whatever community is able to accept me. And that was Regent University at the time. Was Regent University the be all end all for me? No, absolutely not. I'm not a traditional student. I already knew it was going to be tough for me. Um, but the good thing is getting out there and talking to people. If it wasn't for me going to these extracurricular activities after school, I would have never met Mike. I would have never met anybody else that has influenced me so much into finding what my next purpose is. And so, yeah, that was a big thing is, getting out of that structure of the military where people know you by your rank and your name, right? And going into a place where people don't know me by my name, don't know me by anything else. Like I'm just that new guy that's in there. I'm probably the older guy in the classroom, right? And so that was a little bit of a difficult transition period. Um, but once I got to Regent, I started looking for other outlets to find my purpose. And one of those outlets was the Student Veterans America Leadership Institute. And so, taking the time to apply for that, as you know, it takes a little bit out of you, right? Like I've never recorded myself ever. And so, getting out of that comfort zone is a huge part of that transition. Just keep getting out of it. Keep getting out of it. Put yourself in these really rough situations. These are situations where you might have to address a whole body of people, or you might have to address someone that's very, very important. Like getting out of those comfort zones will help you find your next purpose or multiple purposes, especially after you lose that structure of the military.
I have to agree with you about challenging yourself to get into those spaces. I know personally, you know a little bit of my story. Some other people here may not. I know James and Ben a little bit do. When I got out of the military, it was very abrupt, right? And so my purpose for a long time was I was a housewife. I was married 21 years, homeschooled kids, um, didn't work because I was a housewife. And then getting into the veterans community started to happen right before my separation, and reevaluating what my purpose was so stressful to me because you spend such a long period of time in like one area, right? Like going from the Marines to civilian life, that was hard enough. Going from a housewife, and married to what is this? What's going on? What's happening here is very difficult. And one of the ways I found my purpose was funny enough is I went to the vet center and started going to getting counseling and therapy there, and they challenged me to start doing art again. So I found my purpose during that period of time that way. And I know that at Ally, like we were given like these little things to do in the cohorts, one of them being the Ikigai to help you find purpose. Did you ever use anything like that? Any kind of these like little tests to figure out what it is that would be a good fit for you?
Um, no, no, that's not me.
Yeah.
There's a
No,
few
I get
people.
that.
There's a few people in here. I know Mike knows. As soon as you say SMART goals, I'm probably not going to listen. I might leave the room.
I've never even heard that term. What the heck is a SMART goal?
It's an acronym, and it was a big thing. I think when I was in recruiter school, when we talked about SMART goals. Um, I personally don't know what the acronym is for, um, because I never really do it.
I've done other fellowships and they have us do these different tests, including one is called DISC and the other one is JOI, JOI, and then there's this other one. I don't know. It's supposed the Clifton Strengths, and it's supposed to help you like figure out what your strengths and your weaknesses are and like what would be a good fit for you career-wise. And I'm like, all this is doing is making me feel kind of crazy. Because some of us, I feel like we learn more intuitively who we are, what our purpose is by building community, not reading about like my biggest strength is relator, which is true because I know how to relate to people. And one of the things with relator is collecting and documenting. Clearly, that's part of me, but it didn't give me like my purpose, right? It just showed me what I'm good at, what I might need to work on, whatever. But I think intuitively, like looking looking at a certain part of your life and seeing not just where you fit in, because you can fit in somewhere you don't belong, really, right? Or it doesn't feel right to you. How did you find your current purpose and what is your current purpose? Or
So,
purpose is, because it can be more than one.
yeah. So when I was in the military, I always tell people I'm the jack of all trades and a master of none. And now that I'm out, it's more like trying to master those trades. So I have a couple purposes that I'm pretty good at. Networking is one. And so when we were in the LI, or the Student Veterans America Leadership Institute, we had a speaker, and she always talked about how she isn't a plug, that she's the outlet. And so I always, this is the thing that I always talk about is, I'm not a plug. I don't want to be called a plug, but I can find you a plug. And that's the one good thing that I love doing is, talk to me, let's figure out what we need. And I can find someone, if I don't know someone already, that can fill that gap for you if it's not me.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, that's a farm stuff.
another thing is,
It's
when it comes
big
down
on
to
that.
purpose, it doesn't always have to be like one specific thing. For me personally, my purpose is really just trying to fill that gap where people need that gap filled. Is that a specific purpose? No, that's just, you know, trying to manipulate myself to help other people. Um, when it comes down to finding these purposes, you know, like I've said multiple times probably already, is you're going to have multiple, and these purposes are going to change with time. And so you might have one great purpose right now, but in the next 5 years, you could have 5, 10, 15 different purposes. And the higher you get up in these leadership positions, you're going to take on more roles, more purposes. And so it's good to have more than one purpose, right? And right now I'm currently looking for my next purpose. That's the reason why we're in school, is
Yeah,
trying to master those purposes that we might have. There might be something in the back of your head that you've always wanted to do. That could be your next purpose.
that's true. All right, we got in the chat, we got Ben said that SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, or achievable, relevant, and time bound. That's what it stands for. So thank you, Ben. Okay, so you're currently looking for your next purpose to see what comes at you. Um, Prior to looking for the purpose you have right now, when you were leaving the military, what surprised you the most when things started to shift?
Getting out of the military while being in school was a big shift where, I might not have been in the job that I was currently in, but I still was attached to it. I was still in the uniform. I could be called any day. And that day I got my retirement certificate was a huge shift. And so what do you do with these huge shifts? You move with them. You can fight against it. It might work. But me personally, I like to ride these waves that I get. And so the day that I got my retirement certificate, I plan on going to a regional summit the next day. I'd received it and I was like, you know what? We're gonna jump into this head first. And I was like, this might be that one big thing that would help me. Granted, did it? Yeah, it helped me a lot. It helped me with so much things. So many things that I didn't think that I thought I was gonna have to do alone. And so that was the big shift was, getting out of the army, I was like, dude, I don't have that brotherhood anymore. I don't have that mission. I don't have that structure. Like, what are we gonna do next? I could have just sat on it. You know what I mean? Like I could have just sat there and just waited for something to happen. Or you can just get out of that comfort zone and jump into something head first.
So I have
Do I
a
recommend that?
No, I understand that. I do, because I'm what some people call an adrenaline junkie. And I didn't realize this. My psychiatrist told me I'm a person, I like to jump in head first. I like to do things that make me afraid, which is why I like skydiving, which is why I bought a Harley, all that kind of stuff. Are you that kind of person that just like, I'm just gonna do it, even if it's uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable for a while?
Yeah, absolutely. If someone comes up to me and is like, "Can you do this?" I'm gonna be honest about it. Like, "Hey, I've never done this," or "Hey, I'm pretty good at this," or maybe I've done it one or two times,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna do it.
Nice.
Especially if something I haven't done. That is one of my favorite things, is all of these new opportunities that you get after losing a purpose. You'd be so surprised to find that all these things are hitting you at once. I mean, you could reject them. You could reject them, or you could just keep pulling those things and put them in your basket. See which one hatches first. But absolutely, yeah. If someone came up to me and was like, "Hey, like this is what I'm going to do," and I have nothing that's going to come between that scheduling, I'm probably going to do it.
I like that. I wonder who else in here in the little group today just kind of jumps in head first. I guess we'll find out in the future as we watch people like move along you know this next year or so. So in your leadership, you've kind of found some direction. What groups or what people have kind of helped you find your current purpose?
So, that was another big thing about getting out of the military is, I had 11 and a half years of having the same purpose, you know, getting out. I had a lot of civilian friends who didn't understand, like, why is it so hard for you to just get out and do this and do that? And so that's another thing is, you might have 10, 15 friends that you had in high school that you still talk to. And sometimes those dudes aren't gonna, or ladies aren't going to understand that. And so for me personally, finding veterans who have that drive and that want to help and want to do something bigger than themselves is exactly what I was looking for. Did I get it? Yeah, I got pretty lucky. I think it was, 3 months into being at Regent, and I ran into Mike Williamson, who's the founder of Vessels for Valor, and he had a dream. He had a huge dream. Like, hey, I want this tall ship, and I want to make it something big, and I want to make it something that'll help not only veterans but just people. And me personally, I've always been into the veteran helping veterans out of that transition, possibly into higher education. And meeting someone who had bigger dreams than me was exactly what I needed in my life.
I know you've
So
talked to me about them before and about what y'all are doing. I know we've talked about this before. We've talked about some of my veteran friends that are not involved in any community is like having not just the purpose, but having tasks to do. And I think from what I hear about Vessels for Valor, that task and purpose can be fulfilled a lot in that organization working on the tall ship.
absolutely. And so, being on the topic of having a community is non-negotiable. You're not going to get anything done being isolated, staying in your home or staying in your room or your apartment, like sitting there and possibly looking things up or watching YouTubes or watching, TikTok where you have all these mil-spec guys going out here and doing all this great stuff. Yeah, you could sit there and watch, or you can just go into your community and help the ones that are closest to you.
Hmm.
And that's the big thing is a lot of veterans get into their own little bubble. They get very isolated, and that's the biggest threat post-military. Like that is the one thing that can drive you down a hole or spiral that you may or may not get out of. But if you find yourself in that spiral, you need to keep your hand out.
Yeah, I think
Somebody will grab that hand, I promise you.
yeah, that's one thing we've talked about this, and I've talked about it with some of my other veteran friends about, isolation really perpetuates that epidemic of loneliness that people are setting and writing about in the veteran community. And it's kind of like, how do we get people to really understand it outside of just telling them, hey, you need to do this? I think it's just like what some of us are doing is like mirroring that experience of what these communities are doing for us, and not just doing for us, but what we're doing for them too, because it's not all what can they give me, it's also what can I give them, right?
Absolutely. That's a big thing is, you know, for me personally, it's more of what can I give you? What can I help you with? Who can I connect you with? And, a lot of veterans will come out pretty hot like that. Like, oh, I just want to help. But you got to remember, you can't help anyone if you can't help yourself.
Yeah.
You got to put yourself, you got to lay that foundation before, like work on yourself. Like once you build that home on that foundation, then you can invite others in. But you need to build that foundation first. And so, you know, you don't build a house with one person. You build it with a ton. And so to have that community to help you build that foundation is exactly what would help you find your purpose. Is it not you just, poke in and figuring out like by yourself, but find another veteran, or it could be someone that's not even a veteran, right? Just find that other person who has a goal driven mindset and, hold their hand and ride that wave and get to the end of it and find it. Because that person could help you or they could connect you with your next, goal or mission driven purpose. But
Yeah, that
absolutely.
collaboration is a good part of it, within communities. Having a community that you can collaborate with. And I mean, while a lot of these veterans nonprofits can be very much gatekeepy, I think there is an important time to collaborate and share things, because you can get a lot more done collaborating than building barriers. I could be wrong, but I'm going to say I'm not in this one.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. So, on to community and not having isolation. Besides that, how do you take action on things? Like I know you said you just like jump in and do it, but do you ever like give careful consideration to, say, the organizations that you work with or that you give your time to?
Yeah, I do. I'm a little biased when it comes down to that. Especially, grassroots stuff, like
Yeah.
things at home. The first nonprofit that I was a part of was a lot of East Coast.
Hmm.
Started spreading, across the United States very gradually. Um, and I started to lose that purpose in there that I felt. And I felt like that for a while until I met Mike. Um, but yeah, especially when it comes down to, finding your own nonprofit or creating your own nonprofit, those you're gonna be a little biased. Like my nonprofit's the best. It is. And I can't tell you, nobody can tell me it isn't. Like it's gonna be the best one, if not in America, probably international. And that's the mindset you need to keep is once you have one of those things, like whether it be a club, nonprofit, a business, don't ever think that whatever you have isn't the best. It is. It's going to be the best because you made it. So yeah, a little bias on those things.
No, that's understandable. I know when we talked earlier today and we were going over like the purpose of this whole thing, not just talking about purpose, but the purpose of why we're doing this. And you talked about action over clarity. You want to explain that a little bit?
Hmm. Trying to think.
Sometimes we just say things, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I say things and my brain's just like, yeah, let's delete that.
I mean, it's also like, not early in the day, so our brain will glitch. I know mine does.
One second, I'm going through my notes.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Now I understand what I was saying. Um, so it's a pretty big core idea. But action over clarity. You don't want to wait until life makes sense, right? Like I was saying before, you can sit there and wait for something to come knocking at your door. Will it? Maybe. But if you want it now, then go get it. Like, it doesn't have to be clear in your brain, but as long as you have that first step, go knock it out. Like, somebody will be there to help you take the next step. And if they're not, then you'll have a clear idea of what the next step is through trial of error. Um, this is pretty big because in the military, you have orders, then you have action, and then
Yeah.
you have clarity. But in the civilian life, you have a lot of no orders, overthinking, and then you get stuck. When you get stuck, then you're not moving. There's no clarity at all. You're just sitting there.
Yeah.
But once you get out of that overanalyzing, waiting for the perfect time or the perfect plan, and feel like you need to figure it out first, maybe you should just take that first step and then figure it out. A lot of people that I work with at Regent always look at me weird because we'll have something come up and it's like a big, big stone in the road. You can't get around it. What are we gonna do? They're just throwing things out there, and I'm sitting and I'm thinking. And I've had so many people who are also veterans. Well, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you saying things? Why aren't you doing something? And I always tell them, hey, like in my old profession, you don't just run out into the battlefield. You kind of let it figure itself out first. Take a step back and rethink your next plan of action. But you already took that first step. You're just at a roadblock now. Sit back, think about your next direction before you take the next step. That is the big thing. Is when you get stuck, don't overanalyze it. Don't think about it that much when it comes down to like, oh, well, this isn't working. Think about it like this has to work. This is the only plan of action I have. How am I going to make it work? After thinking about it and having that mindset for a quite some time, these things will come to you through trial of error or trial by fire, is what I like to call it. Absolutely. Action over clarity.
I like that. Um, the part of leadership and also that transition into civilian life, there's like an identity shift, right? And how did your identity as a soldier transfer into the regular ass world for you? Or has it yet?
Yeah, so that is actually a new thing for me. Stepping into the Student Veterans America, the first thing you kind of talk to someone about is what branch of service were you in? Then you get into talking about what you did in the military, and then that's kind of like what you rest on. Oh, that is me. But it's not anymore, right? And so lately, if you haven't noticed in the bio, it's more stepping away from what I was to who I am now or who I'm going to be in the next, 6 months, right? Like, well, who do I want to be next?
Hmm.
Like, Staff Sergeant Kamano is back there. Like you got to keep your eyes on the next target. Like don't those memories are great, solid, and it helped me out a lot, and it will help me out in the future. But I'm not that guy anymore. Now it's who am I as a person? Who am I outside the uniform? And that's the fun part, right? You get to find these titles, earn these titles again, right? When you make, E5, E6, like they're not given to you. You either take a test or you go to a board. In the civilian life, once you get out, you have so many different titles in front of you. And it's exciting, but it can be terrifying. And so as of right now, it's more trying to get away from I was an infantryman, I was a paratrooper, I've done this, I've done that, I've been in combat, and going into, well, I'm Tad Kamano, and I work with these nonprofits. I've done a lot of good work with the Student Veterans America. Me and you advocated in DC, what, a month ago? Like
Yeah.
different things that you can just throw into your portfolio and your little bio, and you can start to add more and take away the older stuff. And so that's where I'm at right now is, okay, well, veteran will still be in there, but what other titles we're going to add to this? And that's the fun part, right?
Yeah, it is the fun part. And I think something that maybe you missed in this whole conversation is that even though your identity has changed, some things are still transferable. Like you're still disciplined in what you're trying to do. Maybe not as stringent because you have more choice in your life now, right? Um, but your mission focus, your mission has changed. Like the work that you're doing with the nonprofit, the work you're doing with SVA, it still has a mission, and that's fulfilling that part of you that is no longer there because you're no longer in the army. And I think that makes you a great leader in your own right. And just remember, not all great leaders are written about in history books. Some are. Some might be interviewed for books or whatever, whatnot. Yeah. Um, and I just want to say that, like, I didn't do a long time in the military, as many of you know. I did a very short period of time, unfortunately. But I hear a lot from a lot of veterans when I talk to them, because I've been doing those interviews for the LinkedIn articles and then interviews for my thesis work, is that a lot of people don't know how to find their mission or purpose, right? Um, their task and purpose. How it seems like it hasn't been very hard for you to do that. Do you think that after you finish with your schooling that your mission will change again? Like,
So,
yeah,
so me personally, yes, but not by much. Um, Once I'm done with school, I'll have a lot more underneath, like a lot more in my toolbox, like what I like to
yeah,
call it. So I have a lot of things in my toolbox. That doesn't mean that, whatever that toolbox is for isn't going to, like, I'm not losing my tools for my old stuff. Like that mission's for me to help veterans, whether it's just transitioning or transitioning to higher education, is always going to be in the back of my head or something that I'm going to continue to work on. Um, maybe later in life, like could be part of another big thing when it comes down to like finding a new GI Bill or whatever we want to succeed next, right? Like I
yeah,
will always be there to advocate for veterans. Um, Me personally, I'm kind of setting my stones in front of me to continue to help veterans, especially with this nonprofit. And that's all I want to do right now. Will that always be there? Yeah, I really hope so. Like the way that we're setting things up right now, it's going to last forever. It's going to last for generations. Like I will always be a part of advocating for veterans. Um, but that won't be my only purpose, especially later in life. The more tools I get, the more purpose I find. And so that's what you got to remember is, you have a toolbox, and that toolbox is pretty full. Everything that you were given into the military, you put in that toolbox. Now, my personal toolbox is in my garage. It could be in the garage for 6 months, but it's still there and it's still full of tools. And when I have a new project, I might get a new tool and put it in there. But it will always be in my garage, ready to go. And so that's what you need to remember is your toolbox will be full and you'll continue to put things in there. And later in your life, like you may start to go off that path of your first purpose and find another purpose, but you still have the other purpose, like your first purpose. And so just remember, like you have a whole toolbox. You don't have to forget these things. Like you don't have to move on. You can still keep it back there. It can still be, you know, your first purpose you ever had outside of the military. But me personally, no, I don't see getting away from helping veterans at all.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we opened up to see if anybody has any questions?
Uh, so the biggest thing that I have in my notes here, especially for like closing, um, is you don't lose your purpose when you leave the military. You gain the freedom to define it. You, for me personally, getting out of the military was taking shackles off my feet. You're giving me all the time in the world to do things to help people. Yeah, absolutely. That is the freedom to define it. You don't have that you might be losing the structure, but now you have the rest of your life to either create your own structure or to find more structure in your life. Just remember, these things don't come in one day. You're gonna have to work at it. But that's the fun part. And that's all I really have to say.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? Comments, concerns?
I did just want to make a quick comment. First, I want to thank Tad, especially for being such a big part of Vessels for Valor. A lot of what he covered is exactly what we're built on, and we're kind of like a Swiss Army knife when it comes to that. And also, there's not really going to be an end to the veterans coming out who are going to need help. So that's why we're trying to make this multi-generational, last a very long time. But not only that, jump ahead of it and also help the youth that are likely going to go into the military, so you can kind of prep them before the military and using veterans with Vessels for Valor to kind of train up the next generation and give them that kind of purpose. And we're very excited to have Tad be a huge part of this. He has the best attitude for it. So,
Thank you. James, you had your hand raised. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, Tad. So, I know you've been to SVA Leadership Institute. You've been to Washington Week Nationals. Being around other student veterans, what is,
You cut off there a little bit at the end, James. Can you finish that up, the question?
yes, Tad, I know that you,
James, you're cutting out again. Type it in the chat and I'll read it. Uh, Ben wrote in the chat, Tad, thank you for your wisdom, and it was a great talk. I have to agree with that.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, let's see if James I think he might be trying to write in the chat. Anybody else? Yafer, Tiffany, Kevin, Anand. We'll see. I want to thank you. I enjoy our conversations. And that's why when I asked you to do this one, I was really excited that you were agreeable because some people will say yeah, but then back out at the last moment. Okay, Yeafer wrote, Tad, all hail the champ. And Kevin wrote, you have great perspective and the willingness to help those around you. That's so true. From what I've experienced so far, all the way over here in Michigan, that is very true. I look forward to another talk in the future. Tad and I were talking earlier that towards the end of the year, I would like to do more of a virtual style roundtable with veterans that served in different eras and branches of the service. So if you know anybody or are willing to do that, you all know how to get a hold of me. Um, so thank you so much. And oh, we got somebody that's trying to come in now. Are you serious? Daniel, we are now ending, but do you have any questions for Tad? Tiffany wrote, thank you for the conversation and the insights shared. I especially appreciate the portion of the discussion where you encouraged all veterans to get out of their homes and find community. Great job. 3 exclamation points.
Yeah, shout out to Tiffany. Like, I've never met anyone that has done as much as I have, if not more, for nonprofits. When I met Tiffany, I was like in awe the amount of stuff that she has done. Congrats to you, Tiffany.
She actually said
That's off.
you represented as well. Tiffany said you represented as well. James says, how has being an SVA and going to SVA events helped you in your transition?
That's a good one.
Mhm.
So it's helped me a lot. I mean, I'm telling you, the day after I got my retirement certificate, I landed at a SVA regional summit. Um, from there on, I found so much community, if not, through the people that are in this chat, but even the mentors that we had in LI. The good thing is when you go to these big events, whether it be the fellowship or NatCon, there's so many people, so many veterans from across the United States, maybe even a little bit into Europe, that have so much things that are going on in their life, especially through their transition, that line perfectly up with yours. And so when it comes down to getting out there and talking to these other veterans, you find out what I'm going through isn't an isolated thing. It's it's something that we all have to go through. So why am I in my head so much about it? So it took me out of my head and gave me a real life perspective that these are just things that are going to happen and I have to get through it. But yeah, no, absolutely. I have had so much fun with the Student Veterans America, and if you guys haven't seen, but yeah, it's helped me out a lot, especially when networking. I called EA for a month ago. I have a buddy in California who needed help with the VA percentage. Like just going to these events and networking with people, I've had someone that could help them. Like it's the little things, right? But you get so much out of Student Veterans America. It's been a huge blessing.
I say personally, I have to agree. I've been officially a member a full calendar year as of, I believe it was February. And it's opened up so many doors for me in building community and making like real connections. Not, I mean, there are some abstract connections, but most of my connections are real connections. And I think finding something similar, if you're not somebody that's, transitioning into the academic world, it can be really beneficial for you in a lot of ways, even if it's just to like not sit alone once or twice a month. You're out at your American Legion post or your VFW and just sitting with people. I know when I go initially, when I first started doing that kind of stuff, I sat quietly for a long time. I like to observe and see, is this room where I belong comfortably? And I think SVA has allowed us to feel very comfortable in the room to the fullest potential. Yeah. So anybody else? Let's see. Okay, Tiffany wrote another comment. Wow, thank you, Tad. You make me proud. Hashtag Regent Strong.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm trying to remember your name. Is it Mike? Would
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike.
Do you want to talk about your nonprofit real quick before we finish out here? I know that wasn't the point of this, but might as well while we're here.
Sure. I'll give a very quick synopsis.
Yeah.
Basically, I have a very strong passion for tall ships to begin with because it requires everything out of you to run them efficiently. And it's a very, very good leadership training platform. And it's also kind of what helped me get through a lot of stuff when I was in Boy Scouts, but then Sea Cadets growing up. And that's kind of what I was talking about, where you can kind of prep people before they even go to the military. And that's what helped me a lot. I lost a leg thanks to a training accident and having CRPS. So getting through that took quite a few years. And it was that kind of thing that I had very, very specific memories when I was younger of being on a tall ship and working with the team. And it translates so well into training the youth, but also giving veterans a very good kind of place to work. And it's a very continuous thing. And long term, we're going to be looking to get 300 to 600 acres on waterfront with 8 to 12 tall ships and build a essentially 1750s style community town. And think of like kind of Williamsburg, but the maritime version of it.
Oh, okay.
And that way you have basically everything like blacksmith, cooper, uh, rope maker, sail maker, everything's very much hands-on for youth to come in and get trained up on and kind of build a community. But then you're able to use the tall ships to kind of get people trained up and give somewhere very large for veterans to kind of have a place and I guess rebuild or figure out what they would like to do.
That I am interesting that you talk about it being like a whole community. I was just at a conference for the Veterans Studies Association, and the very first ever VA historian gave a history talk about the history of the VA, and one of the original ones was an actual community in Ohio. They're about to celebrate like 100 years or something here soon, um, or 100 and something years, and it was a whole community. Like they had a garden, they worked there. It's where the veteran cemeteries came from, like the idea of them, because ended up building a cemetery, and veterans lived there post-war in this whole community working together. And this sounds like it'd be something somewhat similar to that. And
Absolutely.
I'm excited to kind of hear the process of it coming along. That sounds amazing.
We're hoping to have housing on the property too. So if we have homeless veterans that are wanting to find a purpose but also need a place to stay, that's going to be a very big component of it.
If you want, go ahead and drop the link in the chat real quick before we completely close out so people can kind of get an idea of what you've already done, what you're already doing currently, and like read. I know that there's like a mission statement and everything on the website because don't think I didn't look at it when Tad told me about it.
So actually, that's the trading company. In order to keep, I don't want to rely completely on donations as much as we're going to love them. I don't want to rely on them. So we're actually building a little bit of a community of businesses built around this. So
Okay.
right now, I just got the website up for Vessels for Valor Trading Company, which is what
Okay.
we're selling custom medallions and all that stuff through.
Yeah,
I'm
we know about that too.
still forming the website for the normal Vessels for Valor, but
Okay.
very much in build mode right now. Doing
That's
the MBA right now, so I'm trying to balance everything.
It is a balance. I'm only working on my BFA and I'm already stressed out about working on my master's, so I get it. But okay, thank you for sharing with us about everything. Anybody else, any last remarks? My SVA people, is there anything you would like to share about something good you have going on right now? Oh, nobody has anything good going on? That's shameful. I'm sure you
Actually,
can.
I do.
Okay, go ahead, James.
So our chapter last month, we coordinated with one of our partners from the Savannah Moose Lodge called Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And in about 3 hours, we helped build with other volunteers 40 beds for children in the city of Savannah that don't have beds to sleep on.
I
That's awesome.
saw you
It
post
was
about
really,
that, and let me tell you, it it got me right here because when I had come out of homelessness with my children, that organization in Oregon made beds for my children because we didn't have
yeah,
beds. So
it
yeah.
was pretty fun, and everybody that showed up had a great time, and we're just continuing to grow our chapter and do things with our fundraisers. And we got a camaraderie event coming this weekend. We just met with uh, our alderwoman from the city of Savannah last night on our Washington Week recap. So continue to hit the grind, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Kevin, anything? Yefer. Yefer said, Tad, thank you. I love the way you speak about personal growth and moving forward to a new future post-military. Everyone tracking what? NASDVA? Somebody asked. Kevin says, I've successfully transitioned the executive board of my chapter to new leaders! Exclamation point. Excited to get them to a convention so you can meet them. Nice. Okay, Ben, anything?
One thing I have is the Embry-Riddle Worldwide opened up a SVA chapter, and they enrolled in the president. So not just in Daytona, now it's Embry-Riddle Worldwide.
Nice. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Good news. Tiffany, anything for you?
Yeah, hi everybody. So I would just say I've mostly been focused on school and healing. So I'm just gonna I'll take a quick moment to just say for the veterans that are dealing with chronic or physical, maybe even mental health conditions, like I'm gonna just kind of piggyback on what Tad mentioned with regard to finding your community. I'm pretty vocal and open about this. I'm a three-time now ovarian cancer survivor, and I was diagnosed while I was still serving. And, it completely changed my life in a lot of ways. And so, being a person that you don't always look like what you've been through and are going through, I really appreciate the fact that Tad and kind of everybody in this space highlighted finding community, whether that looks like a support group. I mean, I think it's tough. I'm an Army veteran. It's tough when you are physically used to being like, top of the top of the line, the go-getter, the person that motivates folks. It's our Army's very physical. To not being able to do what you used to do, right? um, and not really having a path forward or an example of what that looks like. Um, and so I continue to like mentor, whether it's over the phone, various types of folks who have gynecologic cancers. I found support groups at my local cancer center, and I try to stay involved. I sit on a board as for a research nonprofit that's committed to raising awareness and research awareness on ovarian cancer. So I'm grateful to still be here, just like I feel like all of us are. And I love that we're all kind of putting our hands to the plow to actually get work done and encourage people in our veteran community. So that's all I have. Thank you. Getting close to graduation. Woo, that's the other part. I forgot about
You
that.
graduate this year, Tiffany?
Yeah, so I will walk in May and then I have one more class during the summer. But I'm still gonna figure out however I can still support us locally. Yeah.
Well, come get your stole from me.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a table on graduation day. So yeah,
Yeah,
can't
I'll
wait
be
to
there.
see
Yeah,
ya. Okay.
I can't wait. No, I'm telling you, I have been nothing but really, really blessed to have the community that I found at Regent University. Tiffany was one of the first people I met next to Mike. And another thing is when finding your purpose, you should surround yourself with people that you want to be like, right? Or people that are mission driven. And so I've been nothing but blessed to find so many veterans at such a small school that are so driven, like Tiffany, like Mike. I met the president of our nonprofit, Terrence. Like he doesn't go to Regent, but like I met these people. These are people that are mission driven, and so that's what keeps me, going. Is I get to see Tiffany doing amazing things while battling some of the roughest things, and Mike dealing with what he's dealing with, but doing such amazing things. Like it just keeps you like if they can keep going, then I know for a fact these little things that are in my way are nothing. And so like as long as you keep that very close community to you around you, you can pretty much do anything. And everything that I have learned from getting out of the service is all due to people like Tiffany and Mike. You just got to find those people. And it's not that hard. You just get out there and talk a little bit, smile a little bit, and then you should be good.
All right. The last thing in the chat is so Anand had posted asking if we knew about that association. It's the National Association of State Directors of Veterans Affairs. It's an organization with history dating back to 1946 in the aftermath of World War II. Many veterans earned state and federal benefits, which required coordinated efforts to ensure veterans received these entitlements. The states developed a department or agency specifically to manage the Veterans Affairs and carrying out the responsibility for veteran services and programming. They are having their conference August 9th through 12th in Savannah, Georgia. So if that's something that's in your realm of things, you may want to look into it or maybe just crash it and ask your person why things are lagging in your state. I'm not saying you have to, but All right, I'm going to stop the recording here. Give me just a second.